they will give you always the best rate.
They connect to Binance, HitBTC, LMAX, and Kraken.
What I like about Swissborg is that they have an amazing app.
Pow wow, yo, yippee, yay, guys. Power number 15, and I'm super excited to be with you guys today. As always, we're going to dive into love the community, talk about what's happening on the markets, and talk about Swissborg ecosystem that is flourishing on a daily basis. As you guys know, my name is Cyrus, the proud founder, CEO of Swissborg, always here to serve you. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about yield. We're going to talk about a Wunderbar, the Schweizerborg version. And obviously we're talking about, let's look at fundamentals and zoom out talking about the markets. But before that, let's get into the news of the week. News of the week, one of the most exciting thing, the Central African Republic has adopted Bitcoin as a legal tender, and that means a lot. So that means the second country in the world actually to bring Bitcoin to the highest extent and put it into the reserves. I think so. This is something that other African countries are going to be doing, and this is definitely the right signal. Maybe people don't see it as it is right now because they say, well, who's the Central African Republic country? Maybe not, we don't know about it, but we know that this tendency will just grow on and grow on. And sooner or later, Switzerland and Europe and a lot of European countries will have this adopt the same way to bring crypto into our national reserves. Second exciting news is that Bitcoin is indeed growing into our ecosystem and to the institutions as well. So same to couple on that news is that a lot of actors say that 10 years from now, crypto will be bigger than the regular financial products. And I think so that's a huge statement, but seeing the adoption from the national levels, from the banks, from the hedge funds, from the family offices, and now as well the pension funds, this actually could be coming true. And I'm super excited to be part of this. Thanks to you guys. On the more bearish side, unfortunately, it seems like Ethereum is not doing at its best. And there was a correction recently, as you probably have seen 2 days ago. And one of the reasons is that, Ethereum 2.0, which we're hoping to have the first version potentially in June, has been pushed back again and again. As we always say, I've been waiting this since 2019 now, right? So it's been some time, but nevertheless, we know that it's very hard to move from proof of work to proof of stake. And let's hope that this delay still managed to get within this same year and to see what will be the new advancements of this new way to proof of stake. Elon Musk, some people like it, some people don't. What I know is that I personally think that he's a man that might be insane, but he makes it happen. And he believes in putting all his eggs in a basket to then be a very strong activist to take this to another stage. And I know, he's done that he started that with PayPal, but then really has done this with Tesla. Obviously has done this with other different projects within it, with Dodge as well. And, SpaceX has just been a real rocket. And now he wants to fuel that rocket with Twitter. I think so this is really nice, and I think so this tweet means what he means. I hope that even my worst critics remains on Twitter because this is what free speech means. If you just want to think about what happened during, for example, the last presidential elections when Trump was, banned from Twitter. I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing, but based on the free speech of what technology is, it might have a bias, right? So long story short, is this good for us? It is. He's going to bring more and more crypto into it, and that's going to only help Twitter to be the number one tool for Web2 communications and hopefully for Web3 as well. If there's new cool ways to bring in, more than just NFTs, but things that get rewarded. And if not, well, we'll probably be working all together on a new Web3 solution for handling social media and get rewarded for right cause. So let's talk about numbers. What's happening on the crypto market and maybe Bitcoin? I think so. A lot of people when you look at this chart, right, it doesn't look good. We really could see here that, we had a nice head and shoulder type of pattern, and, looking for the next formation. But if you start zooming out, right, and you look not like on a monthly basis, but now you're looking on maybe 2 years, right, you're trying to see that you see these two head and shoulders that form. We're still in a very good positive momentum in terms of the market where we're at, and maybe we'll be like to be back at 68,000, which was all-time high this past 2 quarters ago, but this will be probably rebuilding. And when you look at the hodl state waves, I think so this as well is very interesting to see, right? You see that this is what has Bitcoin has done over the last 10 years, and when you think about it, this looks just insane. This beautiful type of upscale, right? Like, this is probably one of the best investment to have done after CHSB, of course. But what you here see is that what is really great is that a very big percentage of people, that are being hodling for, more than a year is quite huge, right? You see that a lot of there's some newcomers, but a lot of people tend essentially to hold on Bitcoin, right? Because they see this as a real store of value and a way of how this could be the next currency of tomorrow, or at least be the next, electronic gold or digital gold, as you want to call it. So these are usually things that really help a lot. If we go more into what's happening in DeFi, all eyes are in Luna, right? And I think so we've seen that, Ethereum has been doing quite well. AVAX has done, substantially quite well. But Luna has been really the one that, is just crazy, right? It went from 0 TVL to over 30 billion now today, and total value locked. AVAX is, it's at 11, right? And Ethereum's at 129. But you see that, the purple is essentially it's Ethereum. And you see that clearly Luna is really growing more and more as we speak, right? Where you see like BSC, for example, that has really lowered down a little bit, basically as it was, because it was the first one really to bring in, new platforms, not only, but as well cheap way to gas fees to get into DeFi. We see that AVAX, it is growing as we speak. And then you see other ones that are really on the opposite. It's really shrinking. And that's one like Phantom, right? When the founder or the big backer, Andre, behind it, said he wanted to leave essentially Phantom for different reasons. We saw a lot of leadership leaving, and therefore people flying out of Phantom's protocol and different other DeFi protocols layers that they have on top of it. So this is to see that, why do you believe that Luna or AVAX is a great protocol, not just basic because it sounds cool, because there's a lot of applications that are being built. And I don't want to look this further, but there's been 2 weeks ago a very, very interesting show on Crypto Night where Alex is explaining AVAX and Luna. And as well, last week, the one on Binance BNB and Binance Smart Chain as well, showing exactly fundamental if these are good chains or not, are they being used or not, are there good protocols that are not only capturing total value locked, but is as well locking it for the long run. Because we've seen a lot into crypto that people flip a lot, right? You build a chain, you build an application, then you build another application, you copy, then you go on to another chain and do that on and on. And that's not a real sustainable way actually to build ecosystem, right? If you're vampiring attack and sucking out liquidity from another one because you're giving essentially free beers and free drinks for the first month, and then doing this on another platform, there's no real value that's being provided into these different DeFi protocols, and as well in these blockchain layers, right? Which is, unfortunately quite sad. So I think so We have to always look at innovation and sustainable yields that could be captured, and not those ones that will offer, 1,000% or 150%, 100% APR, because this will only last maybe for 2-3 days and maybe 2 weeks. And then when you suck out all essentially the tokens out, well, there's nothing left and people go to the next bar. So you really have that colonization model, which is that, imagine like DeFi, like people going to platforms, sucking out all the love into a platform, then moving from one to the other, which is neither something very fundamentally good for the ecosystem. The lovely CHSB token, if you look at the daily chart from the last 3 months, we have lost some momentum, right? But if you zoom out, you look on the long run, you could see how beautiful this project is building and how much strong holders, 87% of the total composition of the CHSB holders have been here for over a year. That's probably one of the stickiest community that we have, because we believe in providing, I think so, not only great products and great services, but getting to a mission and having this open dialogue where we communicate in the good days and on the bad days, right? This powwow happens every week, every Tuesday, and Crypto Night every Wednesday. And we're trying to look for more content to bring to you guys. And I think so, I really want to thank you guys that, we'll have these big rides, but we know if you zoom out on the long run, if you zoom out from here to here, we're doing very well. And obviously, for those who got here and got in 150, right, and are here now at 42, it is difficult. And people are asking, but what should we do? Well, what you always have to do is to, when it's in what's cold time, when it's bad times, well, hopefully you have enough capital to be buying back some of your love positions and being able to, essentially be able to have a better bounce back for the future, right? If you're comfortable to say that, if you're breeding like real different utilities and tokens, usually on the long run, this will always make the one that does the greatest, like BNB and other ones, right? You have fundamentals that attach to it. Therefore, well, the thing will pop up whenever the wind comes back. So for that, thank you so much, guys, for the trust. And we're working hard to bring more utilities and more products within the Swissborg ecosystem. Question of the week, and I think so this goes exactly, why does dot yield drop, where it went from 20% to 16.5% for the GPs? Why? Well, that's what yields do, right? This right now is capturing on Venus, if I'm not mistaken, and the yields, well, do fall out. We did bring a lot of TVL into that, and therefore, well, time to time, it will lower down until, well, there's some new other yield platform or a new liquidity pool that will bring higher yields, and that's why it changes all the time. If you're in staking mechanism, that would change probably like 6-7%, and that is, whenever this transaction that is based. But when you're doing this in DeFi, all the rates are based on whatever we get best in these very secure platforms. Community sentiment of the week. Hello to all of you guys that have been firing April Fire Borg effect. Thanks to Glev Danes, thanks to Roger, thanks to Andre, Marshall, Russell, Mac as well, Krilyath, Orzek. I think so. It's been really a positive momentum going on with Swissborg, and the most beautiful all of that is that it's very tricky market conditions. But you guys are realizing that you could even party when things are cold, right? And I think so. That's the mindset that we want to build at Swissborg, is this resilience of, or people could be even laughing at you, be like, but
what are you doing right now? You're not doing much. Look at your token. Look at your thing. You're not doing great.
Well, maybe I'm not doing great, but I'm working so hard on it, and I believe so confidently that, yeah, I want to put, a Snoopy, and I want to celebrate those small victories, because those small victories, if you accumulate them, then wins the biggest wars. The biggest lovely wars that change society and that brings, new thought leaders, and where we create new wealth for those people. And I think so that's the beauty of it. And thanks for that. If you want to be part of our lovely team, well, you know what to do. A lot of different teams are being added at Swissborg, and right now, engineering managers are definitely the ones we're looking forward to. Shout out to as well Chris, great to see Chris. He's an amazing guy. I really, really do appreciate Chris. Thanks for coming to MetaFest. Sorry we didn't have so much time to catch up. He's been very, very useful for Swissborg German market, Swiss German and the Germanophone, as we say, but as well for Swissborg Tribe. Has been doing a lot of AMAs, has been doing a lot of moderation, bringing news, updates. Yeah, and I just love the guy. Thank you so much for this. Obviously, there's some good news about this happening very, very, very soon. How do you say soon in German? Oh, I forgot how to say it. But yeah, very soon for sure. And yeah, big shout out to you. As you guys know, we always have lovely people at Swissborg that join us, and you know it's really cool to see all these lovely people that are joining. In many ways, how they'll help, from illustrators to fantastic engineers, people living in different farms, from paralegal to relationship management, multiple. It's super cool to have a lot of different people. And this is one of the last cool guy that's doing a lot of crazy shit. So hopefully he'll be able to put some of the Swissborg flag a little bit everywhere and do some crazy things. That's what we love.
Go backflip!
During the first week at Swissborg, as probably some of you know, they have to do a lot of Web3 different things, know more about how to build the future of wealth management. And this is a new one. What I like is called Mirror, Learn, and Earn. It was presented. The idea is to look at who are the best investors in the app and then do copy trading, right? Where you could say like, okay, I don't have so much time to look at all the crypto market, unfortunately. So what I want to do is that I want someone else on my behalf to look at who would be the best like type of manager, of crypto manager, investment manager, and then I'll just mirror his strategy, so copy trade it. What's your thoughts there? Please comment and see if this might one day come into the roadmap. So obviously now you have 17 assets that you guys could yield. We just added Aave and DOT. I know that we're going to be adding a very new token that is, I'll just give you a hint. It's one of the first DeFi projects. More importantly, is the one who's actually invented the technology of auto market making, and they did an ICO a few months before we did. We're going to be adding them in new ways to yield. That's going to be really cool. And yeah, I mean, like always, Swissborg is your best platform to yield in the best way, easiest way possible, which is great. Swissborg art and chart of the week. What is actually quite good recently is that for the first time of this quarter, this year actually, so the last 3 months, we're having number of users bought CHP for the first time is much higher than what it used to. So we got almost 1,000 new users that have bought Swissborg token, which I think, so this is really, really good. We see it right here. So it's much higher than the average, which is good. And we're seeing as well the people getting into premium, which is great. People getting into community premium, and obviously as well into generation premium, which is there. Weekly data. 339 got into premium last week, 100 almost more than last week, so that's much better. Staked and yield program is pretty much stable. Price as well. The burn is growing, but not as big because there's less revenues and less exchange that are made, obviously. Holder NAB 131,626, which is good. We got a really good week for CHSB holders, which is great. Which brings us to the community index. Okay, what do you guys think? So it was 6.8 last week. It could only be better, I think so. It is 7.8. Bam! And the new metrics as well that brings the CHSB is pretty much stable. The volume is picked up a bit. Activity is waking up. You guys are back from vacation. Social media, not as good, unfortunately. CHSB holders growing and invitations as have been actually growing as well, which is great. I think so. The 2X program has definitely had a good way to bring more people into the app, which is great. Tomorrow night is crypto night, and it's not this episode, it's actually another one, but if you haven't seen it, check it out. Talked about it earlier, Binance review, which is really well with Alex. But tomorrow night is going to be very, very interesting one. While we're in Paris Blockchain Week, we talked to many different founders, and Alex had the choice, the great opportunity to talk to the founder of Sweatcoin, which is definitely one of the most exciting projects, which have already 60 million users. And the thing is move to earn. So it's a great way for being healthy and wealthy at the same time. So looking forward to see that tomorrow night. April 4th, we are going to have an AMA in German.
Wunderbar.
Very excited about that, and we're going to be launching it very soon, guys. So keep tuned in. This is going to be a massive achievement and a great way for our dear Swiss German community to get into crypto in a safer way and make sure they could understand everything. So let's bank on this one to grow the Swiss German market and the Germanophone in general. Guys, as you're understanding, I want to thank you for the trust, the love you're putting into Swissborg. I know these times are a little bit, harsh, and you're probably going to ask me, Cyrus, but after winter, there is usually always a change of a season. Looks like this winter is going to prepare to be a little bit longer. Macro outlook doesn't look good, guys. The war in Ukraine is still not going that well. Hopefully, we'll have an end of that soon. There's still a lot of, not in Europe, but in China, there's still a lot of issues going on with Corona, and that is delaying shipping and all of the semi-manufacturers that happening in China. Number 3, we're seeing that there's a potential stagflation type of economy, which is that the economy is stagnating, and at the same time there's inflation rates that are really skyrocketing, right? We're talking about 5 to 10% in most developed countries. And last but not least, the Fed, as expressed last week, is going to be hiking rates. They have to do it to fight against inflation. So it looks like we're going to probably have like a difficult quarter in terms of a world perspective. Does that mean that everyone's going to think that, crypto is going nowhere because it's a risky asset? I don't believe it. I still believe that crypto could sometimes be correlated to tech stocks, for example, but it as well could behave on its own way, right? It's not, we see it in history that it has been more and more correlated, but for other reasons could be eventually uncorrelated. And we're seeing a lot of fundamentals approach better products, better adoption of these products, these Web3. So there's a lot of good signs. And, the fact that, the Central African Republic has adopted Bitcoin's legal tender, more institutions getting into it. There's a lot of signs that's showing that maybe this economical cycle, this crypto winter, or this world stagflation winter could last maybe for 9 months, but maybe the crypto could actually bounce back up. And I think so there's a lot of trigger events that could come for that. And that's why that underneath our jackets, we have to have our wonderful CHSB not too far from the heart to understand that the future is bright, guys. Be wealthy, be happy.
I messed it up.
That's cool, but I mess it up sometimes. Be wealthy, be healthy, and love our CHSB, guys. Take care. Bye.
Through Swissborg, all assets will have a fiat gateway. And here is the thing.
Premium features gives you 0 fee trading.
It's an amazing fiat gateway.